This is Gemara Baba Kama Daf Kuf Ches, and we're holding at the bottom of Kuf Zayin Amid Beis. We are 3 lines from the bottom on the second wide line. As the Gemara today begins with a Shaila from Rami Bar Chama. And the Shaila centers around the sugya that we've touched upon yesterday, that we touched upon a little bit of a while ago, which is a situation in which someone, a shomer, denies having stolen an item, and then Adim came along and said he indeed did steal it, and he also is a maida that he stole it. In such a scenario, we learned that there is kefil, but there is no tashlumim of the additional chaymesh that usually you pay when you admit to have stolen. So asks Rami Bar Chama, Bai Rami Bar Chama, Mamai Hamechayvoi Kefel Patrai Min HaChaymesh. Do we say that the money that makes one chayiv in kefel, then they're pater from the chaymesh? Aidil mashvua machayvoi kefel patrasai min ha chaymesh. Says the Gemara, what is the precise detail that patters from the chaymesh? Is it the fact that one is paying kefel, therefore there's no chaymesh? Or do we say that when one makes a shvua to pay kefel, that's what patters him from chaymesh? And of course, at the forefront, this sounds almost semantical, because what is going to be the chalik? And the Gemara right away comes along and the Gemara explains. On the last line of Kuf Zayin Amud Beis says the Gemara, Heichi Dami, what is the case? Kigoyin Shetohan Tainis Ganef. The case is where the Shemer Chinam said the item was stolen. Vinishba. And he swore that the item was stolen, and then v'chazar v'toyin tainas avad, and then he said, no, it wasn't stolen, it was lost. And again, v'nishba, and he swears. Says the Gemara, as we turn over to Kuf Ches Amid Aleph. So again, this Shomer first claimed the item was stolen, swore that it was stolen. Then this Shomer claimed this item was lost, swore that it was lost. And now what happens? What's the end of the story? Says the Gemara on the top of Kuf Ches Amid Aleph, Ubo Eidim HaKamaisa. Adim came and said that which he said it was stolen was not accurate. Adim came akamaisa, that which he said it was stolen is not true. And then and then he himself admitted that the second shvua that he said that it was lost is not true. Why? Because he has the item in his possession. What is the din in this case? Do we say that he has to pay the chaymesh because of the second shvua that he was maideh to, but there's kefel because of the first shvua? So how do we do this? Because we have two different shvuas in the same case. The first one being machayivim. The first one being machayivim kefel. The second being mechayivim a shvu. Do we say it's the second now is going to be mechayivim chaymesh? Says the Gemara. Do we say maman mechayivim kefel patrei min chaymesh? Do we say that the money that obligates in kefel paters from chaymesh? And therefore, in this unique case in which there were two different shvuos, and therefore, in this case, ichayev le aluye kfela, and therefore, then we could say that he's chayev kefel for the first shvua, but it won't be chayev. And no, excuse me, I said it wrong. One more time. Do we say any time? Let's say it clear. Any time there's kefel, there can't be a chaymesh. Irrelevant that there are two different shvuos. So once there's a chi of kefel from the first shvua, automatically the chi of chaymesh falls away, even though it's from a second shvua. That's the first side of the Gemara. Or more, do we say Shvua Machayba Yikesel Batrasa Min Shvua? It's Batrasa Min Chaymish. It's the Shvua. Vashua Bas Raisa Hal Deloika Machayba Like Fela to Chayve Chaymish. And then we're able to split this hair. And then we're able to say that because there are two different Shvuos, because there were two halves of this story, there would be a Chiyav in Chaymish. So a fundamental Shaila asks the Gemara, what is the detail that negates the Chiyav of the Chaymesh? Do we say that it's the payment of Kefel, therefore in this case there would be no Chaymesh? Or do we say it's the Shvua, and because in this case there are two Shvuas, therefore there would potentially be the Chaymesh? Answers the Gemara, Amar Rava Tashima. 8 lines down, Gov Chazamid Aleph. Proves the Gemara, if someone says to someone in the marketplace, Hey Chanshayi, where's my axe? Sheganavta that you stole, Vuaymer, and he says, Loiganavti, I didn't swear, Mashbiachani. And he says, so swear to me, Bamraman. He says, yep, I'll swear. Vadim, I said, Adim come along and say, guess what? It was a Shvua Sheker. In reality, Sheganvai. This guy stole it. What's the halacha? Mishalim tashlumei kefel. There is an obligation to pay kefel. Vim hoidemi. But says the Gemara, but if he admits on his own, then he does not pay kefel, but rather what does he pay? Michshalim keren v'chaymesh v'asham. And in this case, proves the Gemara v'acha. But over here, Edim udimachai v'lei kefel. Here, if the Edim came and would have obligated him to pay kefel, then what did the Gemara say? The Gemara still said, that in the case where he admitted on his own, that's when there's the chaymesh. The diak is, says the Gemara, if he's a maida after the Edim came, then it is not, there will not be a chi of chaymesh. And here's the raya, if you're going to tell me it's the shvua that obligates in kefel that which patters on the chaymesh, so why, even if he admits after the Edim came, would he not pay the chaymesh? Mechti hashvua lo kamachayv like kfela. To chayv chaymesh, the shvua that's not being mechayv in the kefel. Why? Because there's Edim being mechayv in the kefel. So that shvua should allow him to pay the chaymesh. But says the Gemara, we see in this brisa not that way. It's the mere fact that you're paying kefel, even if you could split the hair, therefore you would be pater chaymesh in both cases. Continues the Gemara, Bai Ravina. So we just proved that any time there's a payment of kefel, I don't care if you could split it up and say there are two different shvuos. Lamaisa, the payment of kefel obviates the payment of the chaymesh. Asks the Gemara in a similar vein, 6 lines from the white lines, Kov Chesam and Aleph, Bai Ravina. Chaymesh ukfela betray Gavri Mai. Can we say that there's a chaymesh being paid by one person, a kefel being paid by someone else over the same story? What is the story with that? Now, of course, the Gemara is going to explain the case. Hey, Chidami, what's the case? He gave his axe to 2 people. And he said he stole. One swore and one swore and he didn't admit, but Edim came. So very similar to our previous case, just differences in the previous case, there were 2 different shvuos. Here, there's 2 people. Do we say that in one person the Torah is makbi that you don't pay chumsha of the kfela, and I mishalem kfela, I mishalem chaymesh? But over here it's not one person. On the first wide line, Or it has to do with the money. In this case, we have money that's being paid kefil on, so therefore there would be no chaimesh on it. Says the Gemara, good question. Teku, we have to wait for Eliyahu Navi for this one. Continues the Gemara, Papa, moving on to the third line of Concise and Aleph. Papa, excuse me. Trei chumshi or trei kfeli b'chad gavra mai. Is there ever a scenario that there could be two payments of a chaimesh or two payments of a kefel? Says the Gemara, what's the case? Hechidami, she'etoa antainas of v'nishma, v'hada v'chazer v'tointanas avad v'nishma, v'haidani emetz, meaning we have two times that he claimed the same money was lost. Each time and then he admits to both of them. So do we say that each admittance requires him an additional chaimesh for the shvua sheker that he made or not? Inami, another case, do we say Trey Gavni Memoina Kama Rachmana Tol Nishtame Aluye Chan Memoina V'achachad Gavna, or it's all one type of money. It's never two monies on one money. Meaning, do we say that it's either chaimesh or a kefel, and you can't double up the payments on one money, or maybe not? Tashema proves the Gemara Damarava Chamishisu Yosef Lava Teiribsa Chamishisu Harbe Lekaren Echad Shema Mina. Says the Gemara, from here we can learn that when the Torah says it's either kefel or a chaimesh, all it means are that you can't have both over the same money. But can you have two chaimeshes or two kfelim that you would, yes, be able to have? Continues the Gemara, the two dots, about 12 lines from the bottom. Kov Ches Amid Aleph. Tiva'u Bailim l'shaimer v'nishva v'shilem v'hokar haganif. Says the Gemara, a little bit of a involved case over here, we'll call it. Tavua Bailim the Shaimer. The Bailim claimed from the Shaimer the item that he gave to him to watch. Vinishba v'shilem. He swore that it was stolen, which made him potter, and then he paid for it. And then afterwards, Vukar Haganif, we found the Ganif. Kefel lemi. So the Ganif is an have to pay kefel. Whom does he pay it to? Do we say because the Shaimer paid up, therefore the Shaimer gets the kefel? Or do we say no? Or do we say it goes back to the Bailim? We have a machlekes Abaye and Rava. Abaye the Baal Bikada and Rava Amar Lemi Shabikuda and Shabikuda Netzlei. Abaye Amar the Baal Bikada, the original owner, given that Triach Mishvua Loi Maklek Feila. Because since the Shaimer was Matriach, the owner, by making a shvua, therefore the owner never gives him over the full rights, and therefore he doesn't collect the kfeila. Ravar lemisha b'kadin atzli the shemer kim the shile makne le kfeila, because the ma'isa, once the shemer pays, he's kind of the kfeila. Says the Gemara, and this machlekes Abaye and Rava is the kamif l'gibe the good demas nisan. This is a machlekes regarding how to learn up a diak in the Mishnah. Titanan, we learned in a Mishnah, if someone deposits with a friend an animal or utensils, and they were stolen or lost, Shilem, if the Shemer pays lo ratzli shava, then Shari Amru, Shari Amru, Shomer Chinam Nishva v'Yotze. Because the Chachamim said that the Shomer Chinam could swear and he'll be butter. But yet the Shomer decided no. The Shomer decided he wants to pay and not swear. Finally, Nimsa Ganov. Mishalim Tashlumei Kefel. We find the Ganov pays Kefel. Tavachum Achim Shal Tashlum Dalavei. Lemi Hu Mishalim. To whom does the pay the Kefel? Sounds very, very similar to our case. Says the Gemara, Lemisha Bikadan Etzloi. He pays to whom the deposit is in his possession. Nishmav l'ratz l'shalim. Let's say the shomer swore and didn't pay. Even him saganu sham the shomer kiv the hey lemiu mishalim bala bikadain. So now, very similar to our case in that the shomer paid, but on the other hand, what happened is in this case there was no shvu at all. If you remember in our case, if you go look about the two dots, 12 lines up, our case was unique in that the shomer swore and paid. So says the Gemara, Abaye dik meresha, Rava dik miseifa, daik miseifa. Abaye daik meresha, tani shel l'ratz l'shava. Taima says Abaye l'ratz l'shava. As we move over to Kov Ches Amid Beis, Hanishba. But if he swore, Aval Bisha Shilem Misha Shilem, Lemi Mishalim Bala Bikadoin. That's Abaye. Comes along Rava. And Rava says, no, Rava dieg miseifa. Rava learns from the seifa. What does the seifa say? Nishmav l'ratz l'shalim, daim l'ratz l'shalim. It's only because in the seifa that he didn't pay. Or ratz l'shilem. Fish nishmav l'shalim yushav v'kaden etzloi. So that's how Abaye and Rava have opposing diukim how to learn up from this Mishnah B'Metzia. But now the kasha is, how does Abaye and Rava each learn the other diuk? L'Abaye kasha seifa. According to Abaye, what does he do with the seifa? Amar l'cha Abaye achi ketani. This I have to learn the seifa. Nishma v'ratz l'shalem koydem hashvua alachar shvua. Then l'minu shalom bal b'kan Rava kasha. Reishav l'cha Rava achi ketani shilem l'ratz la moed b'shvua asay. Elashilem. Then l'minu shalom misha b'kaden etzloi. And that explains the shita of Abaye and Rava, how they learn out opposing diukim from the same Mishnah B'Metzia Dav in the Lamids that we'll get to in a little more than a month. Continues the Gemara to another case. Tavu Abaylan l'Shaimer v'nish Abu Karaganov. A similar scenario, they claim from the Shaimer and he swears. And then we find the Ganov. Tavu Shaimer. The Shaimer brought the Ganov to say he has to return that which he stole. And the Ganov was Maida. So again, now the Shomer, once the Shomer swore, in really all intents and purposes, the Shomer is done over here. But the Shomer continued his duties, and the Shomer brought the Ganov to Din, and the Ganov is Maida. Then Tavua Bailim, the Bailim bring the Ganov to Bezdin, the kafar. So when the Shomer brings the Bailim to Bezdin, the Ganav to Bezdin, he's might. When the Bailim bring in his kafar, they view Edim, and then they bring Edim, and the Edim Mavada confirm that this guy stole the item. So the question is that there was a Haidah, there was an admittance from the Ganav to whom? To the Shomer, but not to the Bailim. So what do we do over here? Mi nifter aganav b'da shomer. Do we say that the ganov mi nifter? Do we say the ganov is potter from kefil? Why? Because he admitted to the shomer. Or loy nifter aganav b'da shomer. Or do we say the ganov is now potter? Why? Because he, with his amends to the shomer, because Lamaisa, he was denied to the Bailim. Amar Rava, comes like Rava tries to prove this. Shaila, as nishba. If the shomer swore for truthfully, nifter aganav by das shomer, then the ganav is potter for the fact that he was mighted to the shomer. In b'sheker nishba, but if the shomer swore false, then no, if the ganav by das shomer. So says Rava, it has to do with whether the shomer's original shvuah. So look up at Rashi for a moment. Rashi says, in be'emes nishva, the first narrow line, ha-shomer sheta nignava ba'ines v'nimsakein, then nimsakan b'da shomer. Why, explains Rashi? Tekivan denemanu anan, because since he's believed, anan sadi diavi mishtakach ve'ima, because Lamaisa, The Shomer was truthful. He made a Shavua that it was Bainis. It was stolen. So if eventually it was found, the owner would be happy for it to be in the possession of the Shomer. And therefore, when the Shomer goes and is a Maida to this, when the Ganav is Maida to this Shomer, then it's going to be similar to being Maida to the Bailam, and will pater him from Kefel. Bavim nishva l'sheker. Look at the next Rashi. Shetayin meisay nishva nishva nignava ba'ines uba umatzah she'enai kain. If the shomer shvua was not really the MS, it's true that he didn't have it, but the way that he said that it played out wasn't MS. Then the haidah, the admittance of the Ganof to the shomer will not pater him. Finishing up this piece, Rava asked back into the Gemara, Amali Shava b'Sheker. Let's say he stood up to swear falsely, but they didn't allow him. Mahu, what's the din? Take Rav Kana Masni Hachi, Rav Tim Yumi, Masni Hachi, by Rava Nishva Sheker. Mahu actually swore falsely. Mahu Teku, says the Gemara. We don't have a teretz to that case. And now one more case, says the Gemara. Tavua bailim l'shaymer. Samak in the middle of the Amid. The first word line is bailim. The bailim are taken from the shaymer v'shile, and the shaymer pays. Doesn't want to make a shvua. He decides he'll just pay. And then if they find the ganav, tavua bailim. The bailim press the ganav charges, and v'haid. But tavua shaymer v'kafar. Almost the flip of the previous case. But in this case, the shomer paid, which we would think gave him ownership of the item because he paid for it. The heavy adim, and they brought it. Nifter ganaboy does bailim oiloi. Me, I'm going to do we say matzah malay shomer lebail. The shomer can tell the owner aton came into the shaklitu. L'chidamis talik tikusa. You, since you took even the shaklitu l'chidami, you took payment. Therefore, you have nothing to do over here because I paid you. Get out of here. And therefore, when the Ganof admitted to you is irrelevant to me, says the Shomer, because you guys took money, you the owner. Therefore, I should get kefel from the Ganof. Or maybe we say the owner can tell the Shomer, Amri le ki da'at avaratulan milsa, nami avaratulan. Just like you did something, you paid even though you don't really have to. So too we did for you that what? We looked after the Ganef, we found him. So therefore you take yours and we take ours. And therefore, do we say that the owner is still invested in this story? And therefore the fact that the Ganef admitted to him would bother him from Kefel. Says the Gemara, good Shaila, Teiku. We're going to have to wait again for Leo and Avi for that one. And now, I said one last case. Here's that last case. Itmar, says the Gemara. Nignava ba'oines v'hukar aganef. We have a shomer with an item and it's stolen. Ba'oines, that we find the ganef afterwards. Amar Rabbi, shomer chinamu. Ratza oisei moidin ratza nishba. If the shomer is a shomer chinam, that if he wants, he could finish up the case with the owner, and then he could deal with the ganef on his own angle, basically hoping he'll get kefel from the ganef in the scenario if they find him. Or if he wants, he ratza nishba, ratza yosi b'din, ratza nishba, or the shomer chinam could swear and walk away. Then I say my din nishba. He doesn't have the option to swear. That's a baya. Rav Amar I say my din nishba. Says the Gemara, what's this machlekes leiva pligi ad Ravuna bar Avin? The shalach Ravuna bar Avin ingva ba'ines v'ukar aganav im shemachinamu ratza I say my din ratza nishba. Im shemizacho ratza my din nishba. So is that the machlekes? Amar l'cha Rava chava mayaskinan. He lines from the white lines. Hacha mayaskinan kion shekadam v'nishba. Ay v'ratza I say my din ratza nishba. Kamar didn't say that. Hachi kamar. This is what the Brisa meant. Ratza shemechinan oimer b'shuatza. Rasa, so he didn't Ratza. I said din, and finally, Rabbi Zuti Bayilahachi, Nigba Bainis, Vexagana, Vibisa Shaimer, Umeisa Bibshia, Mao, Miaminikim, the Nigba Bainis, Kale Shmirasa. Do we say because it was an Ainis, therefore the Shmir ended? Kima Idelma Kima the Hadra, Hadra Shmirasa, Teiku. Again, another case, we're trying to figure out what point the Shaimer is considered removed from this story. Teiku, we'll have to wait again for Anavi. We'll pick it up from the Mishnah, B'siyata Dishmaya.